I never thought we'd have a lead up to a draft quite like the one we had last year. I mean, obviously the big question was if it was possible to get up from number 20 to number 2 so the Eagles could take Chip Kelly's golden boy, Marcus Mariota. And that game of duck, duck, goose this year has a lot more variables. Are the Eagles going to trade up for a quarterback? Are they going to draft Ezekiel Elliott? Or are they going somewhere else? So many options. Insane. Shenanigans all the way around. Mike Owens, Jeremy Burton, and Sean Brace are all here. You heard that correctly. We got a special guest in the building, so brace yourselves. Sean Brace is here, founder of PhillyInfluencer.com. Let's start because there's a big draft party coming up. Philly Influencer, Bleeding Green Nation, we're teaming up. We're going to do big things at Nick's Roast Beef. Sean, take it away.
Gentlemen, appreciate the invite. Been looking forward to hopping on your show. You guys kill it every single time I press play. That's right, April 28th. It is next Thursday at Nick's Roast Beef on Cottman Avenue. We're looking forward to this. It's our first, basically, really live event to show our readers and the people that press play on the podcast and all that. Just the people that enjoy the content at PhillyInfluencer.com and of course Bleeding Green Nation, like you just touched on. We got giveaways. We got Eagles home opener tickets. We have Eagles gear we're giving away. We got a Bud Light Eagles neon sign. We got barbecue sauce. We got a bunch of stuff we're gonna give away. So next Thursday, if you don't have anything planned, you know you're going to watch the draft, why don't you come on out to Nick's Roast Beef on Cottman Avenue and join us. And you're going to be there as well, and the invitation is open to everyone. Come on out.
And it's free.
Yes.
It's absolutely free.
It is free. It's going to be a good time. All you got to do, show up, drop your name in the box. We're going to be drawing random winners all through the night because you know it's going to go a long, long time. The draft starts at 8:30, I believe. I want to say that's correct. And, hell, that's probably not going to be over to about midnight, you would think. So we're going to be there all night. We're going to have a live podcast with the Bleeding Green Nation boys, lots of giveaways, great specials, including Nick's Roast Beef, man, the best roast beef sandwiches around. You can't beat it. So come on out and join us next Thursday night at Nick's Roast Beef on Cottman Avenue.
So there it is. So you're going to be spinning the tunes, too?
Yeah, you know, we'll be providing a little music just to keep the party going. A little Jock Jams, album 9.
Well, the only reason why I'm asking is, we got to play one song in honor of Howie Roseman. We got to play This Is How We Do It.
Oh, This Is How We Do It. I like it.
I like it.
Yeah, that will definitely be played. We'll be acting up. Trust me when I tell you that. We will be acting up next Thursday, and especially if the Eagles trade up to number 2 or 3 or even stay put at 8. But bottom line is it might get silly next Thursday if they do trade up that high.
It's going to get silly because we're not going to have a lot of time to drink.
Probably not. Probably not.
That's a lie.
There you go. So, let's bring the other fellas on. Jeremy, Mike, obviously you guys are going to go, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, we're definitely going to be there. I mean, you know, why would you want to go to the Eagles draft party at the link? You're going to go and stand there and just listen to Howie Roseman come up and make a speech, or Doug Peterson come up and talk about how he was banging his secretary there in Kansas City. That would be a good story to hear. But, you got to get over to Nick's Roast Beef. You got to be there for that draft party. And, what's really going to be cool about this one is, this is kind of going to be neat because it's going to be all the people that, talk to on Twitter and everything, all the Eagles fans. Everyone's going to get to come together, get to actually meet these people in person, instead of just seeing them on Twitter and, seeing their face there. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
That's right. And it will be an open mic, too, just so you guys know. We're going to involve everybody here. I mean, like I said, I've watched you guys before. You guys do all a great job. So there's going to be not so much an open mic, but what it's going to be is like and we're going to be moving pieces, let's put it that way. So Bleeding Green Nation, a couple guys will step off the mic. We're going to weave some Philly Influencer guys. You guys could step up. We're going to have a lot of time to fill. Like I said, that's going to go all night. So party starts at 7, and I would imagine Roger Goodell will probably wrap it up probably around midnight. I would imagine that's probably going to be about the time we'll be done at.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there. It's going to be fucking great.
Right
Drinks all night. Smoke bombs that are Eagles fans are always out and about, So, we're picking top 8 at least. So, this is an important draft. Going to talk Eagles. It's going to be a great time, great food. Hopefully we can get lucky and win some of them giveaways. Great atmosphere. It's going to be great. I'm so pumped. And we're all going to be there, so you know it's going to be a great party.
That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about this draft. All these trade rumors going on. I'll tell you what, Sean, I'm not going to lie. I'm sick of writing all this shit. I just want this draft to come. I just want to know what's actually going to happen. So, obviously, last week, Tennessee Titans, St. Louis Rams had a blockbuster trade. The Titans, along with their 4th and 6th round picks, they deal the top pick to the Los Angeles Rams. I got it right, didn't say St. Louis. Los Angeles Rams in exchange for their first round, both of their second rounders, third round selection in 2016, along with a first and third next year. Just a crazy trade there. And now what's going on? Because, well, it seems like the Rams might want Jared Goff at number 1. So obviously, with the Browns now at number 2, Goff appears to be their guy. So all of a sudden, the rumor mill, it's churning again. And, well, the Eagles just might trade up to number 2. It's crazy. I mean, Jesus Christ, all these rumors going on.
That's the time. I mean, this is exactly what we dealt with last year. You guys pointed it out a little earlier before we hopped on, where it was just like, what is Chip ready to give up? You know, Fletcher Cox, Michael Kendricks. We can go back and just, off the top of my head, how many draft picks? It was just like, write the check, do the deal, if you remember. And that's what you have to do if you want to get up that high. What, the Rams are picking at 15? Is that correct? I think they were at 15 for them to get up to number 1. You're hearing something similar right now if the Eagles want to get up to 2 or 3. And like you said, it's rumors. Who knows what's true? We do know this. The general manager from the Titans came out last week and said that the Eagles were number 2 on the list as far as getting that number 1 overall pick. So that tells you one thing right there, that they want a quarterback. And this past Monday, there was a little bit of a press conference, a little bit of a gathering with the media members and Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman, and a couple of media members walked away saying, "Wow, Doug Peterson really loves Carson Wentz." I think, you know, I really don't want to sit here and say Doug Peterson is like Inspector Gadget, but bottom line is I think he's throwing up a little smoke screen here. I think Jared Goff is the guy. I think he's the one guy that everybody's looking at right now, you know, franchises, and saying this dude is about as big a lock as you can get at that position in this upcoming draft. The best out of all the quarterbacks there. Obviously, we're not looking at Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota, but I really do feel like Jared Goff, and I've always been a Goff guy. It might have a little bit to do with Carson Wentz playing at North Dakota State. I don't know much about that program. I'm interested. I did my research on him. Obviously, they won. He dealt with an injury, came back. You know, he's got a great story. But Jared Goff just screams at you. You know, he's accurate. He can sling it. You know, he's a little short, a little small, 215, 217. He can gain a couple pounds. But bottom line for me, I think Jared Goff is that number 1 overall pick that I think the Eagles want. And I do believe that they won't be able to get him because the Rams are going to select him with number 1 overall.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with the Rams jumping up that high to get to the number 1 spot, they're obviously going with a quarterback, and it's either going to be Wentz or Goff. So, really, it just comes down to who they take, and the other guy will be left over. So then really it goes into the Browns corner. And that's why it's really becoming a mystery right now, because no one knows what the hell the Browns are going to do, because the Browns don't even know what the hell they're doing most of the time. I mean, you have 24 different starting quarterbacks since 1999 when they drafted Tim Couch. I mean, so, you know, their history of, going with quarterbacks is not very good. So the question is going to be, what do they want to do? You know, now they have RG3. Do they feel confident enough in having him come in and start right away? And the reports right now coming out of Cleveland are that they are confident in RG3, and they're thinking about, trading out of that spot. Now, I mean, that would be something, because if you look at it from the Browns' point of view, if they do really like RG3, they could try to get as much as they can for that number 2 pick. Watching what the Rams just did, with the Titans, and seeing how many picks the Titans were able to accumulate. And if they were able to accumulate a lot of picks, they might move out of that number 2 spot, because they know that there's teams like the 49ers and the Eagles that are desperate for a quarterback. And if they can get some extra picks, the Browns can maybe pick up a quarterback in the 3rd round. So how I see it, I think when it all comes down to it on draft day, I think that the Eagles are ultimately going to do all that they can to get up to that number 2 spot. Just judging from the way that the Eagles have handled the whole offseason, the way that they structured the Bradford deal, the way that Peterson has talked about the Goff and Wentz, it really seems like the Eagles are set on trying to get one of these two quarterbacks. So I don't know if the deal will happen, but I think that either way, the Eagles are going to do their best to get up there to get one of those two guys.
Well, I'll give you a Doug Peterson impression on how he feels about Wentz and Goff. Gosh, I think they're both great. Well, I think he loves them both, and if it was up to him, he would definitely take one. But ultimately, can you package enough to get down there? Question is, how are we gonna do it? See what I did there? And personally, I think we should stick at 8. I love Vernon Hargraves. Or if Zeke is there, which I don't think will get past the Ravens or Cowboys. But Hargraves is my guy. I think he's a fiery competitor. He's 3-time All-SEC. Got 38 pass deflections, 10 picks. Takes after his father who played. I just think he can come right in and be that. If Rowe works out, be that Vincent and Taylor or Shepard and Brown combo for years to come. I just think defense, wins championships, and I think we can take a flyer on a third rounder like Dak Prescott, or maybe we might have to move up a little bit in the third round to get him. But instead of, I want to keep my first round pick in 2017. I want to continue to build with that. Sending future assets down for a prospect from North Dakota State, or because you think Goff will be taking number 1. I just think I'm going defense there with Hargraves.
Okay, all right. So here's a reported deal that might have gone to the Rams. This is according to the Josh Innes show on Twitter. So it would have been a first and a third this year, first, second, and fifth next year. That would have been the package to the Rams, which, it's a hefty price. But here's the thing about these days, because there's that thing called the draft trade chart, and according to the draft trade chart, to get up to number 2, it would take a first this year, first next year, and like a 5th round pick. But here's the thing about that. I think it's changed a little bit because of the rookie wage scale. Obviously, rookies right now, they don't get as much as they used to. So I think the picks, you got to pay a little bit more to get up. And, because obviously back in the day, if you whiffed on a high first, that set your team back, for a couple years, really, because of all that crazy money you had to pick. So imagine all that crazy money you had to pay for, like, I don't know, a Cade McNown or like an Achilles Smith. That would really set your franchise back. But now it's like you don't really have to pay as much, and maybe that's just the new generation of football, and just trading up, that's what you got to do. So I don't know what I want to do, because I really like Wentz. Sean knows this. I'm a Wentz guy. I like him. I like him a lot. A lot of things to like about him. Obviously he played at North Dakota State, but it's history shows that FCS quarterbacks can go and they can become successful in the league. You got Joe Flacco, you got Phil Simms, you got Steve McNair. These guys have all transitioned seamlessly to the pros. And when you look at Carson Wentz, this guy, athletic specimen, I think he's good. I think he's the real deal. I know you like Goff, Sean. I like Wentz, but quite honestly, I think they're both pretty good. So, but would I really want to get up to number 2, give up all that? I don't know. I'm like torn on it.
That's what it comes down to for me. Just that I'm getting a little bit of an echo here. What the hell's going on? All right, that went away. But what it comes down to me for is I look at the Rams situation, and I don't really think. I think they're in a little bit better position than the Eagles right now. I really do mean that. I would think they're making a little bit of they're making a deal for that quarterback because they're in a new city and they need a big splash. So they're kind of going about it a different way. The Eagles, to me, who scares you on offense right now? Defensively, I know we could be the biggest homers possible, but really, are we that good on defense? I think everybody wanted to place the blame on Chip Kelly's offense, and that was the reason why we struggled last year. I don't know. I think we struggled because we're not that good at defense. Maybe we think we are a little bit better than what we are. So we have holes to fill. That's my point. And I don't think you trading up to number 2 and having to give up whatever it is, like you just pointed out, the 1. You don't have a second-round pick this year. That seems to be biting us on our backside more and more we talk about this. The third-round picks. I just feel like you can go ahead and improve your team drastically for the years to come if you hit on those picks rather than trade up for a quarterback when you got Sam Bradford, you got Chase Daniel. So it's not like you really need a quarterback this year, right? I mean, you might not be the biggest Sam Bradford guy in the world, but bottom line is he's your starting quarterback this year. You don't have to fill that hole. You got a guy, and if he goes down, you got Chase Daniel, the guy that you went out and spent a ton of money on too, Doug Peterson's boy. So I just don't feel the quarterback position, the quarterback draft this year is just not grabbing me. I do think, hey, if you want me to buy into Carson Wentz, I could be sold. Like I said, he's got some intangibles. He's got some arm strength. I like the fact that he won every single time he was there, or every year that he was there, battled back. I watched the Gruden camp. I mean, there's a lot to like about him. I'm a Goff guy. You don't have to sell me on him, but I just feel like the Eagles right now, the position that they are in, they don't need to do that. They just got to stay put at 8, go ahead and lock in on a guy, whether it's a Ronnie Stanley or a Hargraves like you touched on, or, you could even go down the list of Miles Jack if he falls to you, and I know that's a little, you got to be cautious there, but there are other guys at 8 you can get rather than spending a ton of picks moving up to 2 and drafting one of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, those are some great points you make there, Sean. And, I think why we're in such a tough situation right now is really because of Bradford. And we kind of don't, heading into this season, we really don't know what kind of Bradford we're going to get. We saw Bradford at times last year where he played pretty well, and he wasn't the reason why we were losing. But then we also saw times, at the end of the season when we really needed Bradford to step up, and he really didn't step up like we needed him to. So, going forward, you really have to think about it like, how long is Bradford going to be here? If he can go out and play at a really high level this year, then he might be a guy that they end up extending, and then he's here for another, 3 or 4 years. So then if that was a situation, you wouldn't need to get a franchise quarterback this year. You could wait and draft one, next year or the year after that. But that's why we're really in this situation, because we don't know what we're going to get with Bradford. So is it really worth it to gamble and pretty much put all your chips in the middle of the table for a quarterback that you don't even know if they're going to be a franchise quarterback? And, it's just tough. It's tough to put those chips in the middle of the table when you don't know, because it's a big crapshoot, especially with the quarterback position. So I think that's why the Eagles are in such a tough spot. But, the positive thing about this whole thing is that they don't desperately need a quarterback, because they have Bradford, who is going to be an average quarterback, and he can get the job done as long as you have a solid defense. So, really at this point, I would just say, have the Eagles kind of stay put where they are, because I think to get to number 2, it's just looking like they're going to have to give up way too much.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. I touched on it earlier. I'd like to stay at 8. It's a lot to give up, and like Sean said, it's not a glaring need. We have so many holes on this team. We don't desperately need a third-string quarterback right now to, especially trading up to get one. Yeah, we'll guarantee we'll probably draft one. I'm talking about Dak Prescott, Kevin Hogan, someone like that later. But as of right now, you're in a great position to get an impact player right away. If Zeke happens to fall, God forbid, who knows how this draft goes? Laramie Tunsil could fall close to us. Who the hell knows? So, that's instant impact players right there. Joey Bosa, you never know. So, so many holes to fill, and Bradford could very well come out and have a great season, and then what do we do? Then we have to renegotiate his 2017 money, because that would be over a $20 million hit. Bradford, I made this point in previous shows that he's coming in fully healthy this offseason. His first offseason in like 3 years that he's completely healthy. I know he wants to come out and prove himself and live up to, his #1 overall pick status of back 5-6 years ago now. So, he showed some promise. He's got, the team likes him. Ertz loves him. Jordan Matthews, they all hang out. They have a good time together. So they have a camaraderie there. If he can step up, be a leader, take care, manage the game, I think he'll be good in our offense. Doug P knows how to use him. Doug said one of the big reasons why he loved this job so much is he loved Sam Bradford. He wanted him back. So, it's not a glaring need right now to trade up, give up future assets just for a third-string quarterback we're going to groom and isn't going to be an instant impact. I want an instant impact player this coming year. Make it happen. Stick at 8. Stick to your draft board. Make it happen.
I want to get back to Sean's. Now I'm getting it. All right, I want to get back to Sean's point with the Rams and how they're in a better position to win right now, and he is absolutely 100% correct. I believe in that because you look at what they have on defense. You got Robert Quinn, you have Aaron Donald on that defensive line, just stud muffins. You got Alec Ogletree, and that front seven is unbelievable. It really is. And then you look at offense. You got Todd Gurley in place, so you got your running back. They're a lot more established than we are. I know you guys don't want to hear that, but it's true. I don't really think this team's that great right now. I think we're like, I'm looking at that Eagles schedule, and I'm penciling in like 6-10. I don't think we're that great. So that's just the reality of the situation here. So, yeah, there are a lot of holes to fill. And that brings me to this question. We're getting on Ezekiel Elliott now because we are in a precarious position at quarterback. We've been kind of rotating guys. We're in a carousel right now. We have Sam Bradford, an average guy. So if you can't get that franchise quarterback, you got to build your offense around somebody. And that somebody might be Ezekiel Elliott. This is a guy I've kind of changed my mind on over the last month. I was part of that group that was like, all right, you don't take a running back in the top 10. I'm kind of changing away from that because this guy fits our offense to a T. We're going to be physical. We're going to be slow and methodical. Ezekiel Elliott, those 12, 14-play drives, he's just going to – that defense is going to be exhausted by the time you're inside the 10-yard line. He's going to be scoring touchdowns. I love the prospect of staying at 8, possibly getting Ezekiel Elliott. I like that a lot. I mean, I like Wentz too, but that price of a first and a third and a second and a first and a fifth, whatever the hell that was, that's just too much to give up. We have too many holes to fill. I want Ezekiel Elliott.
How about this? 4.47, 40-yard dash at the combine. You just when you start thinking about Zeke, you start thinking about the national championship game, how he just demolished them. I think about what he did against Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl at the end of his career. I mean, he was just an absolute stud at Ohio State, and I just don't see how that all of a sudden stops because he comes to the next level. I think, he's a playmaker, and you're exactly right. There's two things. One is I'm not so worried about taking him at 10. Like you said, I want an impact guy. When you're in the top 10 for the draft, you got to get somebody. You have to get somebody that could step in day one, unless it's a quarterback, obviously. You need that impact player, and I think Ezekiel Elliott will be that guy because on offense, this comes back to my second part, is who scares you on the Eagles' offense right now? Nobody does. Are they going to trade Matthews? Is he going to be around? How long can he play? He's been banged up his whole career. Darren Sproles, long in the tooth. Besides a couple punts last year, what did Darren Sproles really do? Was he used right? Who knows? That's another argument for another day. Wide receivers, we could sit here and talk about them all day long. They need to step up. Zach Ertz has some good games down the stretch at the end of the year, but bottom line is nobody scares me on offense. And if you bring in Ezekiel Elliott, I think you'll get exactly that, a scary-ass back. That dude is the real deal. Comes back to the overall conversation is, can you get a good running back in the third and fourth round? Sure. Is he Ezekiel Elliott's status? No. Will his career last for 12 years? Probably not. That's not how it works these days, but I don't care about that. I want a guy that's an impact or that can have an impact day one, and I think Elliott can do exactly that. I would not be upset if the Eagles pulled the trigger on Elliott at number 8.
Yeah, I'm kind of feel the same way here. I think if the Eagles do stay at 8, I wouldn't be opposed to picking Elliott. What it really is going to come down to now with the Rams jumping up to the #1 spot, kind of throws a wrench into the whole equation because some guys could start to drop. One of the guys that you're going to look at is Tunzel, the offensive tackle. Now he's a guy that in some mock drafts he's fallen to 5 or 6. Now that's a situation. If I'm the Eagles, I'm really going to look at that, and you might want to start thinking about a trade to move up a little bit because if you could move up 2 spots and get a guy like Tunzel who was potentially going to be a top 3 pick in this draft before the trade with the Rams moving up to 1. I mean, that would be a hell of a move for the Eagles because obviously he would be able to replace Peters in the near future. So that's something to watch out for. And then obviously if the Eagles aren't able to get Tunzel, which they probably won't be able to, you have to look at a guy like Vernon Hargreaves. Cornerback. Obviously, on defense, my biggest concern right now is we're really throwing Bro right into the fire. I mean, he's got to be really our #1 cornerback right now on the roster, and this is after pretty much only playing, half of last season. So that's kind of a bit of a scary thought. So it would be nice if we could get some, added depth in the secondary and draft a guy like Hargreaves. And, Hargreaves is going to be probably go around where the Eagles are picking, somewhere in that, 6 to 10 range. So those are the 2 guys that I'm looking at first before I go with Elliott. But if those 2 guys are gone, then I'm going with Elliott at 8.
Yeah, Zeke would be my #1 guy at 8, but I just don't think he'll be there. I have a sneaky suspicion that we're going to be facing him twice this year, and he's going to be going to the Cowboys behind that offensive line, and he's going to it's not going to be fun. But if he's there, he's that. You guys talk about that instant identity on offense. I mean, that's huge. I mean, he fits, like Adrian said, he fits exactly what we want to do. He'll go to pound town all day, ladies. He'll run through defenders. He'll eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He's just a total stud. Can't miss prospect. The best thing since probably Adrian Peterson. Has been that kind of prospect, that kind of a difference maker. I'm worried he's not going to be there. So like I said before, I mean, Hargreaves would be my guy if Zeke's not there. He's got a great vertical leap, high point the ball over tall receivers. I mean, he's just an absolute stud, this corner. And, there's going to be some growing pains. Corner is one of the hardest positions to transfer, to accommodate yourself to from college to pros. So, it'll be tough, but, I mean, he's an instant impact player as a rookie. I see him as a Joe Hayden kind of shutdown corner. So, I would be so happy with either Zeke or Hargreaves, a great impact player on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball. Either way, I don't think you can go wrong, and they fill a hole, both of them. So,
yeah, just to let Matt and Vernon Hargreaves a little bit. I'm hearing the echo. Here we go with this echo. So Vernon Hargreaves, I love this kid a lot. He's the guy I actually want over Ezekiel Elliott. So you got Hargreaves and then Elliott, and like Jeremy just touched on, he reminds me a lot of Joe Hayden / Patrick Peterson. The reason why he reminds me a little bit of Peterson is his ability to high point the football, the ball skills that he has. He's going to get you at least like 5 or 6 picks a year. Now, and again, touching on your point about translating to the NFL, cornerback is really, really tough position to go from college to the pros, because in college you play the man, in the pros you play the air, that space between the quarterback and the receiver. It's a lot different in how you play it. And a lot of Eagles fans I've talked to on Twitter, they're like, well, we just re-signed Nolan Carroll, we got Leotis McKelvin. Why the hell do you need Vernon Hargreaves? Well, you can let Vernon Hargreaves sit for a little bit, because like we just said, it takes some time for the cornerback to translate. So I think he would be a stud. You'd get him and Rowe. You put them together for the next couple years. You got your Bobby Taylor, your Troy Vincent. You got your Lito Shepherd, Sheldon Brown combo. You got that combo set for years to come. I really like that a lot if you can get Hargreaves. Elliott obviously is another guy at 8. So that brings my question to you guys. You guys just heard what I wanted at number 8. Who would you guys want at number 8 if we don't trade up?
Well, I'm all over the place. Like one day I want Zeke. Next thing I'm like Ronnie Stanley is the safe pick. Hargraves. I think the safest pick is definitely Stanley. But I like what they did so far, what the Eagles did in the offseason with the offensive line. But you can never have enough depth at that position, at that unit. You know that. We were banged up all last year. You don't know what's going to happen with Jason Peters. So I'm okay with adding depth to that offensive line. But Hargraves, you touched on it. With Nolan Carroll, I mean, who's your starting corners next year? Nolan Carroll and Eric Rowe. That's scary right now. And you need another guy in there to be the nickel. And so I think you add in depth at that position, a stud, a playmaker like Hargraves, that would probably be who I'd be leaning as well. Or Elliott. Like I said, it's either Elliott, Hargraves, or Stanley. Those are my 3 right there. And who knows? Like I said, you don't know what's going to happen. There could be some sleeper picks and stuff like that. But bottom line is when you're top 8, they're top 10, but they're top 8. And 2 of those guys are going to be quarterbacks. So now you got 6 guys to choose from. And who are we talking about here? We're talking about playmakers. Joey Bosa, Buckner, Tunsil, Stanley. You go down the list. Like you shouldn't miss on any of these guys. So find your guy, select him, and roll with it. Don't make the move. Stay at 8.
Yeah, I mean, this is a draft when, thankfully, you look at the board and, you say, thank God there's not a fireman, somewhere on that list, because if there was, we could be in trouble. And then you have to worry about us, swinging and missing. You never know with Roseman controlling the draft board. We know that he's in full control right now. So, we'll see, but this is a draft where you get, with Roseman being able to get us into the top 10, and there's really some, in the top 10, there are some elite players where the Eagles can get, and I really don't think the Eagles can mess up on this one. I mean, there's so many guys that someone is going to drop to them at 8, so they really can't miss. So I'm going to say that I want Hargraves. He's my number 1 guy. And after that, it's probably Elliott. So, those are my top 2 guys. I really think that Hargraves is going to get to 8, especially with the, Rams, jumping up so high and getting to 1. I think that Hargraves will fall to us at 8. And I think that'll be really a great addition to the defense because, like what Sean was saying, kind of thin there in the secondary, some uncertainty. So, would definitely help.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned my top 2 guys, Zeke and Hargraves. So if they happen to get, 2 quarterbacks are gone, say Zeke gets taken early or 4 or 6 or wherever, that only leaves 4 other spots before we pick at 8. I mean, just 4. We're talking Jalen Ramsey, Bosa, Tunsil, and either Jack or Buckner. I mean, someone's going to go, but somebody's going to drop. I think Hargraves will definitely, I hope, be there because he's my guy. If Hargraves and Zeke happen to get taken, then that means someone else moved on up, like a Bosa or a Jack or even a Tunsil. So, I mean, I don't think he would drop to 8, but Tunsil would be my guy if Hargraves and Zeke are gone. Miles Jack had this medical report come out, cartilage falling off his knee, all these red flags. So I think he's going to drop to 8. And that's interesting because, I mean, he's an absolute stud when he's healthy. So if I had to throw a 3rd guy out there besides if Zeke and Hargraves, or a 4th guy, actually, if Tunsil's gone too, I might take a flyer on Jack.
Yeah, I mean, that's the wild card, obviously. If a guy falls, obviously, the whole everything changes. Because if Tunsil falls to 8, I mean, that's the guy. That's it. That's it right there. Jack is interesting prospect because of the knee troubles, all that with his cartilage. And I'll tell you guys, I have knee troubles myself. I've had, knee surgeries in the past. I've had cartilage taken out. Used to play basketball back in the day. Really bad on your knees and stuff. I kind of somewhat understand it, why teams would be hesitant about it. But he's an intriguing option there too. So moving on to quarterbacks. We're going back to quarterbacks here. So if it's not Wentz, if it's not Goff, I don't even want to bring up Paxton Lynch. I'm not high on the guy. I'm not big on him at all. He kind of looks like a goat on crack. I'm not huge on him. But you got Christian Hackenberg, you got Dak Prescott, you got Kevin Hogan. These are the guys that the Eagles are working out. Which one of those three do you want? Maybe there's another quarterback you guys like. Who do you guys want in the middle rounds?
I want the goat on coke. I kind of like Paxton Lynch.
Oh,
yeah, I do. I now look. I was just hearing reports, obviously rumors. Who knows what's true, but that he's going to go first round.
No, he'll go first round. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think the Eagles should be drafting him first round, but I do like him. I like his size. If he went to a different school, I think we'd be dealing with a lot more hype than what he's getting right now. Geez, when he went there, he started there. He was another one that I enjoyed watching him on Gruden's camp. It was just funny to just sit there and, just the program was nothing when he showed up, and it still is nothing. But bottom line is they won a bunch of games last year, and he slung the ball around. He's got good size. You know what, man? He really does like. If Chip was to draft a quarterback, and if Chip wasn't top 10, this would be Chip Kelly's quarterback. He can make moves. That's the way I look at it. He's very athletic, and he could sling the football. I like him. I don't know why you wouldn't like Paxton Lynch, other than he went to Memphis. Other than that, but I'm not a Hackenberg fan. Dak Prescott, not really sold on him. Kevin Hogan out of Stanford, what type of arm strength are we talking about there? Because that's what you need at the next level. You got to be able to sling it. So other than that, man, I'm really, really scared of these quarterbacks in the late rounds, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is a draft where you're looking at the later rounds. You're probably not going to get, the best quarterback. You really got your top two guys, and then, Paxton Lynch after that. The rest of the crew, it's not that impressive. Paxton Lynch, definitely be a first-round guy. He might actually end up going, somewhere in that, 15 to 20 range, especially after the Rams going up to number one.
Oh, no, we're getting a glitch here on Google Hangout.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're getting that glitch where it goes back and forth. That's a shame. Keep going, Mike.
Yeah, so Paxton Lynch is a guy that ultimately ends up with the Broncos, and maybe he'll room with Mark Sanchez there in Denver. But middle rounds, we looked at guys, Sean was mentioning guys like, Hogan and Dak Prescott. Nothing to get too excited about, but, those are guys that the Eagles could possibly take if, you're looking at the third round.
Yeah, this whole quarterback draft, Goff and Wentz, I think they're even being a little overvalued for how slim this quarterback class is. That's why another reason why I don't want to trade up. But if I had to take a flyer on a mid-round guy, I was a big McNabb fan. There's somebody that has his kind of size and skill set in this draft, and it's Dak Prescott. Set lots of records at Mississippi State. He likes to get drunk a little bit, but which 20-year-old kid doesn't want to? He had a DUI, but I don't think that's a big deal. What else is there to do in Mississippi anyway? Let's get real. But he's got a great skill set. He can run. He was up there setting records with like Tim Tebow in the SEC. But unlike Tim Tebow, he doesn't have some awkward release or anything. This guy Dak has a quick release, flick of the wrist, strong arm. He's very green. He's very raw. He's going to need a lot of coaching, but we don't need a quarterback right this year. So this is why I like Dak. And 2-3 years down the line, after he sits behind Sam and Chase and learn from Doug and Frank Reich, I think he that's a prospect, somebody to groom that could be an impact player down the line. He's got the skill set, and I think he would bring the fans what we want in a quarterback. And you saw what McNabb did. if he can be anything like McNabb, not saying he is. I mean, he's a third-round draft prospect for a reason. But with some coaching, you never know. He's a playmaker, so that's why I like him.
Yeah, going back to Paxton Lynch for a second, I have such a bitter taste in my mouth with him because, as a Temple guy, I know all about him being in the American Athletic Conference, and when they played Temple, Lynch shit the bed, and that concerns me a little bit because, you're talking about a Memphis program that was in play of going to the conference championship game, so this was a big time game for that program, and he was terrible. He was awful in that game.
Temple had a good defense, right?
What's that?
Didn't Temple have a good defense last year?
It was a great defense. Best defense in the nation.
We kicked his ass. We made him look like a little punk.
Yeah.
we made him look terrible. But then he goes against Auburn, and in that, what was it? One of those damn bowls, the Birmingham Bowl or something, whatever it's called. Shit the bed again. So that concerns me a little bit. When I watch him play, the Memphis offense, not very sophisticated, a lot of bubble screens, a lot of that kind of stuff, not a lot of NFL-type throws. I think he's a little bit inaccurate, but, hey, who knows? I mean, he still is the third-ranked quarterback on my list, but my fourth-ranked quarterback, Jeremy talked about it, Dakota Prescott of Mississippi State. I don't know if he falls in the third round. He might go in the second round. We might not even have a chance at him. So that's the guy I would want in the third round. He's a project. I mean, you could just kind of sit and groom him for a couple years. That's the guy I would want, like Jeremy talked about the arm strength. He's a little bit further developed than Tebow is. He's going to have to learn how to read his progressions. I mean, he was kind of like a one-read kind of guy, but he is a little bit further developed than Tebow. So I like him. I like Kevin Hogan a little bit. Not a big fan of Hackenberg. They called him Sackenberg there at Penn State. That offensive line was terrible. Temple sacked him like 10 times. So
we were there.
Yeah. Yeah, we were there. It was awesome. So, yeah, that's that. All right, moving on to a different topic before we close this show. Who's a sleeper, and who do you think is going to be a bust in this draft?
Sleeper. Oh, man.
Yeah, sleeper's hard. I put you on the spot.
Well, who I love. I'll go with this.
All right, go ahead.
Who I think is a lock, Will Fuller. Will Fuller. Wide receiver out of Notre Dame, just blazing speed. I love Will Fuller. Now, he's a first-round pick, so I get it. It's nothing really too crazy. I'm not going out on a limb there. But he could drop into the late first round. I think you're absolutely getting a guy that could come in and start making plays for your rookie season and then look out that following year. I mean, I just think he's got some electric speed. So I'm a big Will Fuller guy. Sleeper. You go around the room. I'll come back with you with a sleeper. Give me a second.
You got a bust? Or you want to come back on that too?
A bust.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, I'm going Carson Wentz. You don't like Paxton Lynch? I'm going Carson Wentz. I don't think Carson Wentz is as good as advertised right now. And at the end of the, I think his career would be somewhat similar to Sam Bradford. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
There we are, yeah. So, kind of a sleeper for me. If the Eagles don't go with Elliott at the number 8 pick, I think a running back to really watch out for. Possibly it's going to be early third round or it's going to be the late second round the Eagles would have to get into is Kenneth Dixon from Louisiana Tech. I think this is a guy you really got to watch out for. He can catch a ball out of the backfield. Now, he's not as big as Elliott. He's not as fast, but the guy can still ball. And, I think that he would be, a good talent to add to the backfield, in that third round. So he's a guy that's my sleeper if the Eagles can get him in the third round or get up into the second and get him. As far as a bust go, I'm really concerned about Miles Jack and the knee right now. I think that he's a guy that's going to go early and could end up being a bust. And I say that because these reports of his knee problems, I don't know how true they are. Some of it could be falsified, could be a little bit of a stretch, of what the truth is. But I really, I look at Kiko Alonso. I mean, that guy, his rookie year with the Bills, he was an absolute stud. He really dominated there in Buffalo. And then ever since he, had that injury to his knee, the ACL, he hasn't been the same. He just totally unperformed this, past season in Philadelphia. So, yeah, I would say when you start getting those knee injuries, with especially at the linebacker position, you got to be careful. Usually it doesn't end up too well. So I would say that, Miles Jack would be the guy that I would say that could end up being a bust.
All right, I got a couple sleepers. One, I'm
You only
gonna.
get one, fucker. All right, go ahead.
You're gonna use the one. You're gonna use the other one. Are you gonna use? You're gonna use.
Well, Mike already took my sleeper, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll go with a running back. Kind of a third round. He might be there when the Eagles pick in the third round. Alex Collins out of Arkansas. He's a pounder. He's consistent. He's had over 1,000 yards every season in college, and I think he'll fit our scheme. And I think he's not not a bad prospect. Everyone, any rookie besides Zeke is going to have to work on pass protection. He has that and maybe some little bit of fumbleitis going on, but these are things you can work on. Nobody's as polished as Zeke, as far as pass protection goes. Another sleeper, my boy Tyler Matakevich, maybe a 5th or 6th rounder from Temple.
It's another one.
Heart and soul of that defense, man. I mean, he's a late round pick, but I think he'll make an impact. I hope he does. And I don't know who should a bust would be. How about Derrick Henry, the Heisman winner? I think he might be too big. His upright running style might not quite translate to the NFL. That's just shot in the dark, but who knows?
Here's what I'll say. I think he has to have that because he can't make people miss. So he's like a big pass. So if he's on like Dallas or something, if he gets picked by the Cowboys in the second round, obviously he would be dominant because he can get on the second level. Once he gets on the second level, he can run over people. But yeah, I somewhat agree with that a little bit. Now you guys kind of took my sleepers. I really like Matakevich. I think he has the instincts to be pretty good, even though he's athletically deficient there. And then I really like Kenneth Dixon. So I'll throw a deep sleeper at you guys. And I just remember this kid watching him playing against Temple, going up against Tavon Young. This is University of Massachusetts, Tajay Sharp, wide receiver. I like this kid a lot. I just going up against Tavon Young, one of the best cornerbacks in the American Athletic Conference, and he was burning him. So I like this kid. That's the one I got. I also like Josh Dotson from TCU. I think he's pretty good. I think he has the best hands in the class. As for a bust, I'm gonna go with Joey Bosa. I'm not really feeling this guy. Everyone's comparing him to J.J. Watt. I'm just not seeing it. I'm seeing more of like a Chris Long sort of deal. So I don't know if it's going to be a bust per se. I think he'll still be productive at the NFL level, but I'm not seeing superstar. I'm not seeing J.J. Watt. I'm seeing more like Chris Long. So I'll say that. Paxton Lynch and Joey Bosa. Those are my picks. So there you go. All right. So we're getting around, getting done here on this show. So final thoughts, and let's get out of here. And Sean, you've never been on the show before, so final thoughts, basically whatever's on your mind, whatever you want to talk about before we get out of here.
We're not as bad as people want to make us out to be, even though we throw wristbands on the ice. I want the Eagles to stay at 8 and go ahead and get that lock, get that Zeke, get that Hargraves. Just stay at 8. There's no reason to go after a quarterback right now. And appreciate the invite, guys. Man, it's fun, and I like this little Google Hangout type feel where it just changes the camera angles. I think it's very sharp, and I'd love to be on anytime you guys want me, man. So please, anytime you need me, hit me up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready for the big draft party coming up. Next Thursday But really, we need the draft party right now because, well, it's we had Villanova won the title and everything was great for a few days there. And then it came back to reality. Everyone was pumped up for the Flyers and the playoffs starting, and we really just kind of laid an egg. And yesterday, last night's game kind of really put a damper on things the way things ended. Uh, and who knows what's going on with the Sixers. You know what you have with the Phillies. So now I think everything's coming back to the Eagles, and people are getting pumped up for the draft. So I'm just ready for the draft to be over because, I mean, you can only take so much of these rumors. I mean, every day it's a new rumor for people to debate, and people love to, go on Twitter and just make up ridiculous things, especially when something involves Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox, man, once that guy gets brought up in anything, people come to his defense. So, yeah, I'm just ready for the rumors to end.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I mean, my final thoughts just let's get the draft here. It's only a little over a week away. I go on vacation right after the draft. So excited for next week. Come out to Nick's roast beef. We'll make it happen. It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome time. I can't wait to meet the rest of the fellows there at the Philly Influencer. We're going to have Andrew Martin, a.k.a. Phil, what do you call him, PHL Anon?
Philly Anon. Philly Anonymous.
Philly Anon. Oh, that's okay. That's what it's all about. So, see, Andrew Martin, he's apparently this big pimp. So Jeremy, you're going to have some competition on your hands. Because, see, Jeremy's a juggler. He juggles like multiple at a time somehow. I don't know. I have no idea how he does it. It's amazing.
It's the muscles on top of muscles. Yeah, we know this.
Yeah, you're 6'4", muscles on top of muscles. I struggle to get like one. so there you go. But, yeah, it's going to be a great time. I can't wait for it. I don't know if I want to drive now, though. That's a problem. Mike, you want to drive?
Uber it up.
True, Uber. Yeah, because I kind of want to get smashed.
A long Uber.
Yeah, well, it's all good. It's worth it.
It's a long day of drinking. Long night of drinking. You don't want to drive.
No, yeah, you're probably right about that. All right, so that's it. That's it for this show. Sean, thank you a lot for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, boys.
You're invited anytime you want. So
Appreciate it, man. I had fun. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So with that being said, for Sean Brace, Mike Owens, Jeremy Burton, I'm Adrian Fedhue. Take care and drive home safely on draft night. And I can't wait to meet all you guys. Take care. Later.
Bye.